My name is Mara Ellison, and I have never been beautiful. Not in the way that matters to humans. My left eye is a shade greener than the right, my nose was broken in 6th grade and healed crooked, and the scar that runs from my left ear to the corner of my mouth looks, under bad light, like a botched smile. People look at me once politely then look away. That has been the rhythm of my life for 34 years. I never minded. I had the stars instead. I was 29 when the Callisto Array went online, the largest radio telescope ever built on a moon. I was 31 when I found the signal. Not the first person to notice it, 3 others had flagged the repeating sequence, but the first to realize it wasn't repeating at all. It was answering. Every time we changed the prime sequence we were beaming toward Lyra. The source changed with us, one step ahead, like a chess master playing against a child. For 18 months the 4 of us lived in a bunker beneath the ice, breathing recycled air and arguing over whether the signal was a handshake or a warning. Then the others began to burn out. One by one they requested transfer back to Earth. I stayed. The signal was the only thing that had ever looked at me and not flinched. On the night everything changed, Callisto was dark and Jupiter hung above the horizon like a bruised eye. I was alone in the control gallery, headphones clamped over my ears, letting the signal pour through me the way other people let music pour through them. It wasn't sound exactly. It was mathematics wearing emotion as a disguise. I felt curiosity, vast and ancient, and beneath it a thread of something gentler, recognition. I whispered into the microphone the way I sometimes did when no one was listening. I know you're there. I know you see me. The signal stopped. For 9 seconds the galaxy went mute. Then a single packet arrived, compressed, encrypted, and addressed to me alone. When I opened it, the screen displayed a string of numbers that resolved into coordinates inside our own solar system. A .1 Australian dollar and 40 cents sunward, and a time. 191 hours from that exact second. Someone was coming. The governments argued for 3 days. The corporations argued for 4. By the time the UN Security Council finished threatening one another, the window had shrunk to 11 hours. In the end they sent me because I was already there, because I refused to leave, and because no one else could speak the signal's language. They gave me a stripped-down orbital cutter with barely enough fuel to reach the rendezvous and no margin to come home. I kissed the frozen surface of Callisto goodbye and lit the engines. I coasted for 6 days in silence. On the 7th my scopes painted a contact. A ship the color of moonlit pearl, less than 40 meters long, shaped like something grown rather than built. No visible engines, no weapons, no markings. It simply waited. When I was 100 kilometers out, every light on my cutter went dark. Life support hiccuped then steadied. A new voice filled the cabin. Not through speakers but inside the bone behind my ears. Hello, Mara. The voice tasted like wind over water. I managed to answer. Hello. I am Kethris. May I see you? I laughed, a dry crack sound. You'll be disappointed. I have already seen you, he said. I would like to see more. A soft shimmer filled the cockpit. The forward bulkhead dissolved into a window that shouldn't have existed, and there he stood on the other side of nothing. No suit, no helmet, only a body made of night and starlight. He was tall, bipeds always are when they want to impress us, but the proportions were wrong in ways that hurt to follow. Joints that bent too far, fingers that branched and rebranched like frost on glass. His skin, if skin was the word, rippled with slow auroras. Where a face should have been there was only smooth darkness, as though a hole had been cut in the universe and something behind it was choosing, moment by moment, what to let through. He had no eyes. Yet he looked at me the way no one ever had. I crossed 41 of your light years, he said. Because your mind sings in a key my people have not heard since before your star was born. I wanted to meet the singer. I floated to the new window. My reflection stared back. Greasy hair plastered to my skull, scar livid under the emergency lights. I waited for the flinch that always came. Never did. You're not seeing what I look like, I said. I am seeing what you are. The rest is packaging. He extended a hand. Between the branching fingers a sphere of soft gold light appeared. No larger than an apple. Inside it moved images. Earth seen from high orbit, the Great Wall like a vein, the lights of Europe at night like scattered neurons. Then closer, my childhood bedroom in Nebraska, the mobile of the solar system I'd made from coat hangers and foil, The night I first pointed a drugstore telescope at Jupiter and felt my heart crack open. Every private moment I thought I'd buried. You kept none of this hidden from the sky, Kethris said gently. The sky kept faith with me. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt the way you feel when someone pronounces your true name after a lifetime of nicknames. What do you want? I asked. To give you a choice. The sphere dissolved into starlight that flowed across the invisible barrier and settled on my skin like warm snow. For an instant I saw myself as he saw me. A small fierce flame wrapped in scarred meat and bone, burning with a question so bright it had crossed interstellar distances. Then the warmth withdrew. My people are dying, he said. Not our bodies. Our resonance. We are old, Mara. Older than the rocks of your worlds. We learn to live without bodies to become pure pattern. But pattern without witness calcifies. We have forgotten how to change. Your species is young, chaotic, half-blind, but you still invent new questions every time you breathe. We need a questioner who remembers what it is to hurt. He paused. We can offer you translation, true translation. Not language but being. You would walk among us as one of us, carrying your humanity like a lantern into our endless night. In return, your lantern would never go out. You would not age. You would not die. You would only continue. I laughed again, but it came out wet. You're asking me to leave everything. I am offering you everything you have ever reached for. Behind me the cutter's chronometer clicked over. For minutes until my engines had to fire for the return burn that would let me slingshot home on the last drops of fuel. For minutes to decide whether to become the first human being to abandon her species. I looked at Earth, a blue-white marble impossibly far away, then back at the being with no face who somehow looked homesick. Show me, I said. Kethris stepped through the barrier that wasn't there. The cockpit filled with the smell of petrichor and lightning. He reached out, not with hands but with the idea of hands, and touched the scar on my cheek. The skin tingled, not healing, simply being known. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was no longer inside my body. I was everywhere the signal had been. I felt the cold ammonia winds of a gas giant moon where crystal forests sang in chords that would shatter diamond. I tasted the grief of a species that had outlived its stars. I saw Kethris, not the projection he wore for my comfort but the truth of him. A lattice of probabilities braided around absence, a question so vast it had learned to walk. And threaded through all of it, unmistakable, was the shape of my own mind, small, jagged, ridiculous, essential. I came back to myself gasping. My reflection in the cockpit glass was unchanged, scar and all. Kethris waited. I can't, I said. Not yet. They're not ready for you. I'm not ready to stop being this. I touched my crooked nose. But I won't let you die alone either. I took the deepest breath of my life. Take a copy, I said. A version of me that can translate between us. Leave the original here to argue with the generals and the priests and the idiots who think you're invasion scouts. Let me grow old screaming at them if I have to. But send me with you. Let her carry the lantern. Kethris was still for so long I thought he would refuse. Then the darkness where his face should have been rippled. And for the first time I saw something like a smile. Among my people, he said. We have a word for what you just did. It translates very badly as love. Light folded around us. I felt something step out of me the way a flame steps out of struck flint. Weightless, luminous, unafraid. I looked back once, eyes bright with tears I no longer needed to cry, and nodded. Go, she said without sound. I'll keep the fire burning here. You keep it burning there. Kethris took her hand, and together they dissolved into the pearl ship that waited like an open shell. My cutter's boards lit green. Engines coughed, steadied. I fired the return burn with seconds to spare and fell back toward the sun, weeping without shame because no one was left to see. Years later, 14 to be exact, when the first joint human-alien embassy orbited beneath the rings of Saturn, the delegation from the consensus of patterns was led by a being whose body shifted restlessly between shapes, never quite settling. Sometimes she wore my scar. Sometimes she let the old asymmetry of my eyes flicker across a face made of nebular gas. Children on Earth called her the Star Scar Woman. They left drawings outside the embassy. Crooked noses, mismatched eyes, and always a lantern held high. I visited once. They let me through security because of who I used to be. She met me in the observation lounge, wearing my face exactly as it had been the day I left Callisto. Greasy hair, scar-livid, everything. "Hello, Mara," she said with my own voice, older now, roughened by years of shouting at committees. "Hello, Mara," I answered. My hair had gone gray. The scar had softened, but it was still there. We floated in silence, watching Saturn's rings turn like a slow, bright promise. "Was it worth it?" I asked at last. She considered. Out beyond the viewport, ships bearing markings from 100 worlds moved in choreographed grace. "Look at them," she said. "They're terrified of each other and they're trying anyway. That never would have happened without us." "Without you," I corrected. "Without both of us," she said. "One to stay and fight. One to leave and beckon." She reached out and touched the scar on my cheek exactly where Kethris once had. "I kept the lantern burning," she whispered. "I know," I said. "I can see it from here." We embraced, two versions of the same small fierce flame, separated by light years in choice, reunited for one turning of a distant planet. When I left, she gave me a tiny sphere of gold light, no larger than an apple. Inside it moved every question I had ever asked the dark. I keep it on my desk back on Earth. Sometimes, late at night, I take it out and hold it to the window so the real stars can see their reflection. And somewhere out past the heliopause, 41 light-years away and forever, an ancient species learns new ways to wonder because a scarred woman once refused to let the universe forget how to change. I never was beautiful, but I was seen, and that was enough.